Hi artists, Miss Cassidy here, back with another art lesson. All right, visual arts artists, we're gonna combine all the art materials. We're gonna use crayons, we're gonna use pastels, we're gonna use colored Sharpies, and then we're gonna see how those three materials have a water resist with a watercolor overlap. So we're gonna use 4 types of materials. We're visual arts artists. That's what we do. We use a range of art mediums. Now, when the seasons start to change, we can go outside and start to notice that the leaves go from green to yellow, orange, red, brown. All those beautiful colors start to change. And we're going to capture that. We're going to make these beautiful watercolor leaves with crayons, pastels, colored Sharpies, and then we're going to overlap that with watercolor. That watercolor will have a water resist against all those materials, meaning the colors we use will still shine through over that watercolor overlap. Now to capture these leaves, we're going to use a crayon rubbing technique. To make our crayon rubbing happen, we need to use force and pressure. With our crayon, we're going to use force, the amount of weight we're pushing down, and the pressure is going to measure how much. So as we're rubbing our crayon, we're going to see if it's too light, it's not going to work. If it's too hard, it won't work. So we have to find the right amount of force and pressure to get our crayon rubbing to appear. We have to use crayons for our crayon rubbing. The reason why we can't use pastels is because pastels are too soft. The crayons are nice and hard and they don't leave too much wax behind. As a visual arts artist, we experiment, and with experimentation comes trial and error. I had a little bit of error in my trial. You'll see in my video, I used a real leaf and paper and made a beautiful print. But when I used the watercolor, the paper was too thin. So I found paper that was really good for the watercolor, but wasn't so good for the crayon rubbing. I have these plastic leaves. This will capture the crayon rubbing, but I challenge you to go in your backyard, your front yard, gather some leaves, and you can try with just regular paper at home a crayon rubbing with a real leaf. Our pastels are going to be used to create our own leaf. Once you have a few leaves on your paper, we're going to overlap it with watercolor. Now, watercolor is just like its name. We need to use water to make the color activate. Artists, I never mix my colors in the palette. I always make sure I wash my brush off in between each color. But if I want to mix colors, I just mix it on the paper. When I am using my watercolors, I'm thinking about a color that's opposite of my leaf. So if I have an all green leaf, I'm thinking of a different color background. I don't want a green background. I'm thinking of reds, oranges, yellows, something that's gonna make my leaf pop. We can also use colored Sharpie to create our own leaf or just outline something. Sharpies can be used for any extra detail you want. There are so many choices of leaves you can create. And artists, if you want to create your own leaf with your own color scheme, you can do it. You don't have to follow these examples, artists. You can create your own leaf.